Am I the a-hole for asking my best friend to break up with his uneducated, unemployed girlfriend so we can be together? Original post. I know the title makes me seem like a bitch, but I couldn't think of another way to summarize it in one go. We'll call him Dean, and we'll call his GF Helen. Basically, I'm a university student and interned at a marketing company over the last few summers. Dean was my boss there, and we became really close friends. Our friendship moved outside of work, and I no longer intern there at all. The more we talked, the more I fell for him. He's incredible, hardworking, successful, funny, the whole package. His girlfriend is not emo. She's actually a loser. She's uneducated and unemployed. Helen dropped out of high school because of family problems. Apparently, her mom has severe anxiety and depression, overdosed multiple times when Helen was a kid, and would have breakdowns, threatened to hurt herself if she was left alone. So Helen stayed home with her, and still does when necessary, because her father can't get retired. Over the years, Helen had admitted it's weighed on her own mental health. She sees a psychiatrist and takes medication. She's developed her own irrational anxiety. She's had some jobs over the years. In the hours her dad is home with her mom from work, but would have screaming/crying panic attacks while on the job. She has them at home sometimes too, at night. But she can calm herself down okay, apparently. Subsequently, she's never finished school or held down a job. Dean and I have talked about it many times. He insists she's doing her best, that she does all the cooking, cleaning, laundry, yard work, etc. at her home. She gets a very small amount of money from her father for this weekly. She also does video game streaming and makes some money from that. Barely any, I think. They've been together for 5 years. And he's come to terms with the fact she may never work or get educated. Dean has a marketing degree. But he doesn't seem to care. He says he will provide financially, and he's okay with her being a som someday, or even just a stay-at-home wife. The original post, I DM'd him asking him why he's even in love with her, how he fell in love with her, just why. I don't get it. He can do so much better. He said this. I fell in love with her for many reasons. She's sweet, kind, cute, and she always sees the best in people, even with everything that she's been through. I think she's funny, beautiful, intelligent, and is always trying to do some good. I like that she's random, silly, quirky, and passionate AF. I like how competitive she is, because I'm competitive too. I like that she's athletic. I like how she cooks things, top of the dome, without the need to Google everything like me. I love her giggle, and I really love her smile. I like her singing voice, and well, all of her voices. I like her hugs, and I love her kisses. I like when her fingers are in my hair. I like the things that she draws or makes from hand. I like it when she holds my hand. I like her taste in memes, and I like her taste in music. I like her puns and her sense of humor. I really like her presence, and I like her dance moves and how good she is at everything. I like that she liked to help people. I genuinely like the person that she is, always have. I admire her a lot and will always want her for myself. I told him how I felt about him, how I'm in love with him, and that I wish she wasn't around. He said, well, I'm lucky that she is. I don't know what I'd do without her. I told him he's just comfortable and he's staying with her because it's been a long time. I've been in a place in my life where I thought I couldn't go on without certain people, but I survived, and he would too. He said this, well, I don't want to, so I'd appreciate you not saying things like, I wish she wasn't in the picture. That's awful. If you cared at all about me, then you'd say that I'm lucky to have her and respect that. You know? So he adamantly won't leave her, and I don't understand why. With the little money she earns, she saves up to do some very special things for him. Got him a cameo from his favorite actress, took him to see his favorite sports team in the playoffs, got him a PS4. She's taken him to his favorite band this summer. She also does sweet stuff for him, like give him random cards, drawings, paintings, crap like that. I think maybe that's the real reason he stays with her, but I could do that stuff for him too. She's had years to do it. I'm studying hard. I work as a barista to get through school. Love talking to him. I love spending time with him. He means the world to me. Does anyone have advice on how I can win him over? I just want him for myself. Am the better choice for him. He just doesn't realize it right now. What can I do here? Edit. I decided to link him to this post as someone who commented recommended. Hopefully he'll get a better insight into where I'm at emotionally and why. Now for the update. Lori, you linked me to this post so I could understand you better, and now I do. I love my girlfriend more than life in itself. I've been with her for 5 years for a reason. Not because of what she can offer me financially, but because of who she is as a person. That's what matters to me. I'll work 3 jobs if it means keeping her. For example, she once spent 2 hours traveling in the rain to bring my sick mom some homemade soup. Money doesn't buy that kind of heart. I never told you that story because you would get emotional and angry with me for even bringing up my girlfriend. I tried to be your friend because you seemed lonely. When we worked together, you said your roommates don't talk to you and your family is back in your home country. We never had a future together. It's not even a possibility. I will protect that woman at all costs, and it really hurts me to see you talking shit about her to strangers on the internet. I hope you'll have the integrity to take this down. Maybe it's best we don't stay friends for now and see where things head. You sent me the link though, this thread, and then you immediately blocked me on Instagram. Why? I don't understand what you want from me at this point, but it's no longer worth my energy. LF, you're ready to grow up and respect my relationship. Give me a call. Story 2, mother-in-law 56, F deliberately infected my 27F daughter 1F with chickenpox. I'm livid. She doesn't think it's a big deal. Original post. I can hardly type this out because thinking about it makes me so angry. Earlier this year, my husband, 31M, and I decided to spend Christmas with his family for the first time since my daughter was born last September. Since they live 12 hours away, we decided to stay for a few weeks before Christmas so they could spend loads of time with Annie, 13 months. We arrived early like we planned and everything was great. I've had a few disagreements with my mother-in-law, Trish, 56F, in the past over my parenting style. She criticized me for using disposable diapers, buying baby food from the supermarket, and not raising Annie as an organic baby. But everything seemed great. After a day or two settling in, my husband and I decided to pick up a few gifts from a mall around an hour away before the last-minute rush kicked in. My father-in-law, 60, messed up our last big rush, so we went ahead and took the kids. Our youngest son, Jonah, tagged along too. Trish said she was happy to take care of Annie. We got back a few hours later, and Annie was down for a nap on a blanket I didn't recognize. Trish said one of her friends dropped by and gave it as an early Christmas gift. It looked pretty old/worn, but I figured one of her hippie friends was just recycling it. The next 2 weeks were fine, aside from Trish making a point to prepare meals for Annie from scratch. I mentioned this to my husband, and he said to just let her be. Annie mostly mushed the food Trish gave her with her hands through the bowls on the floor, as she's been doing at the moment. Trish said it would take her a while to get used to nutritious meals. I was getting sick of her meddling, but it was only for a few weeks, so for the sake of the holidays, I let it slide. The day after Christmas, Annie was really unsettled and wouldn't stop fidgeting and crying. I took her temperature and she had a fever, so I kept an eye on her for the next few days, and it thankfully started to go down. This morning, she started to get a rash and blisters on her arms and legs, and I freaked out. I was packing a bag to drive to see a doctor when Trish asked where I was going. I told her Annie had a rash and I was taking her to see a doctor. She got a weird, smug smile on her face and told me there was nothing to worry about. When I asked her what she was talking about, she said, without even looking at Annie, that what she had was just chickenpox. I asked her how she could possibly know that, and she casually admitted one of her friend's grandkids had chickenpox a few weeks ago, so she asked them to wipe a blanket over the child's arms, legs, and face, and bring it to her house. At this point, I couldn't believe what I was hearing, so I asked if that blanket was the gift Annie was sleeping on. She said it was. I lost my shit. To be honest, I don't really remember what I said, because I was up most of the night for 2 days checking on Annie. I just unleashed on Trish, asking what the fuck was wrong with her. My husband and father-in-law came to try to calm things down, and Trish dug in her heels and said chickenpox was the best and most natural thing for Annie to build up her immunity. I already had a vaccination schedule in place with my pediatrician, and she was booked in to get immunized for chickenpox at 18 months. We drove to see the doctor, and he confirmed she had it. He said I'll have to cut Annie's nails short and might have to tape socks on her hands while she sleeps because kids so young can scratch until they bleed, and that will leave scars. On the drive back, my husband started making excuses for Trish. that she was only doing what she thought was best. I couldn't believe he was defending her, and we fought most of the way home until I told him to stop talking to me. Annie's been scratching like crazy, and I just had to tape socks over her hands. Trish tried to talk to me when we got back, and I told her to get out of my sight. We were meant to stay until Wednesday, but I just finished packing up our stuff so we can leave first thing in the morning. I'm so angry I can't even think. Whenever I hear Trish moving around in the kitchen, my heart starts beating faster, and I feel like going out there and grabbing her by the hair. I don't ever want to see her again or let my daughter see her again. What can I say to make her and my husband realize the enormity of what she's done? I don't think I can speak coherently to their faces until Annie gets better. Enough for the update. Thank you to everyone for your comments, inbox messages, and advice after my original post. I read all the comments and messages and they genuinely helped, especially the home remedies on how to stop itching. Since my first post was locked and deleted, I hope it's okay to briefly summarize here. Over the holidays, my mother-in-law Trish, 56F, deliberately infected my daughter Annie, F1F, with chickenpox by wrapping her in an infected blanket while she was left alone with her for several hours. Trish didn't tell anyone what she had done until Annie came down with a horrible fever and rash. Annie was booked in for her chickenpox vaccination at 18 months, but Trish thought what she did is 100% normal, despite the fact it's caused Annie significant pain and distress, and now scarring to her face and arms. When I found out what she did, I was livid and had a shouting match with her and packed up our things to leave the very next morning. It soon came out my husband, Jack, didn't think Trish had done anything wrong. On to the update. I didn't think it would be possible, but things got worse. I got up first thing the next morning and started packing our stuff into the car. Once I opened it up, I kept the keys in my pocket since I was going in and out. Usually we use Jack's set and leave mine in my bag. While I was packing, he sat in the kitchen with Trish and my father-in-law, 60M, and chatted and had coffee like nothing was wrong. Annie was mercifully still asleep, so I just gently belted her in and closed her door when Jack came out and asked if I had everything. I said we were good to go as soon as he was. He said okay, and calmly took out his key set and centrally locked the car, locking Annie in. I asked him what the hell he was doing, and he said we wouldn't be leaving until I apologized to Trish. I think I was stunned into silence because he then took the chance to rehash what he said the previous day, that Trish thought she was doing what was best, that chickenpox doesn't kill you, and that I was making a bigger deal out of this than I needed to, and making Trish feel bad. Yes, making her feel bad. All the comments from my last post were swirling around in my head, and I told him he needs to stop being a son and start being a father. He screwed up his face and said he would always be Trish's son, and that was the point, that nobody should speak to his mother the way I had the day before, and I needed to apologize to clear the air. I felt like I had entered some kind of weird twilight zone where I had accidentally married a 9-year-old instead of an adult man. So I just asked him to open the car so we could leave. He repeatedly refused, then walked back inside and said he would see me in there when I was acting more reasonable. You can probably guess what happened next. I had left my bag on the passenger seat, so he probably assumed my keys were in there. Nope. I waited 30 seconds, then just hopped into the car and drove away. My phone blew up with a million calls from him, Trish, and my father-in-law. Eventually, my mom and dad and my sister Jess, who I'm super close with, called as well. I'd briefly texted Jess about what was happening the day before, but she was stunned to get the full blow-by-blow. By the time I was on the open road, I asked her to phone Jack and tell him he could walk home for all I care. Once she heard my side of the story and not Jack's, which was apparently that I had gone crazy, frightened Trish, snatched Annie, and snatched away. She calmed way down. Mom, Dad, and Jess offered to start driving and meet me halfway so I could switch with one of them and wouldn't have to drive the full 12 hours by myself in one day. I was so grateful to see them, I pretty much broke down in a truck stop parking lot while I blubbered that I loved them. They all took turns driving while I had a rest. It was super reassuring to talk it over and hear that Trish and Jack are the unreasonable ones. Once we got back, I stayed at my parents' overnight and they said I could stay as long as I needed. The next few days were fairly tense. I was up most of the night making sure Annie didn't scratch, which she did anyway, somehow, and it seemed like she just cried and cried and cried until she was exhausted. She has 5 scars on her face and a few others on her arms from scratching. I know appearances shouldn't matter, but I'm so angry her skin is marked for life now over some stupid bullshit. This whole thing is just something I never expected to happen. I answered one of Jack's calls only to have him start a rant that he didn't recognize this person I had become, so I hung up on him. He was due to come back for the start of the work year, which I wasn't looking forward to, but I figured we could make it work as long as Trish was 12 hours away. Then at like 11 p.m. one night, I got a very short and formal text from father-in-law via Jack's phone saying Trish had come down with shingles and was in the emergency room, that Jack was staying there to care for her, and that he would work from their house remotely once the year started back up. Jack's been there for the past few weeks, tending to Mama's every whim. I'm sure she's put on an Oscar-worthy performance of having one foot in the grave, and according to Google, it should be any day now that her painful, crusty pustules go gently into that sweet night. A few weeks ago, I was honestly so tired and overwhelmed and in disbelief that I didn't know what to do. Now I'm back at home with people who actually care about me. I think I'm starting to realize how lucky I am to see the weird relationship with his mommy this early on. The fact that he cares more about Trish than his own daughter speaks volumes. When he eventually comes back, I think we'll have to have a serious talk about our future together.